take this lecture to very quickly show you how you can download the course notebooks and open them on your computer in case you're having any issues with that. If you've already been able to do that just from the links from the FAQ lecture or the course overview lecture, feel free to skip this lecture. But basically, all I'm going to do here is show you how you can actually download the notes from our GitHub page. So you should have seen a little blue pop up with a resource link, and that resource link will take you to the GitHub page for Purian Data and the Complete Python 3 Bootcamp. So go to this resource link. You can either type it in manually, Google search it, or just use the little blue pop-up that happened when you were watching this lecture. So let's hop over to that link. Okay, so here we are at that GitHub repository, and this is basically an online repository that you can access in order to get the actual course notes. You'll see here how the course notes are organized. We basically have it numbered off by section, and then inside of these sections, you'll see the notebooks themselves, and the notebooks are titled both so that their lecture title matches as best we could with the notebook title, and then we also have them kind of numbered so you can go through them in order. So for example, when you're learning about for loops, you'll go ahead and click here on for loops, and this will eventually load up the notebook. Notice how it's a .ipynb file. But once you have the notebook loaded, you should see lots of useful information here, and then the actual code itself. Now, if you want to run these notebooks onto your computer, what you need to do is download this repository. So we'll come back here, click on Complete Python 3 Bootcamp, and there's different ways you can download this repository. If you're already familiar with Git, you can feel free to fork this repository and then have it on your own GitHub. Keep in mind, we are constantly updating this. But what you can do also to just get the files locally is click here where it says clone or download, and then click on download zip, and that will download a zip file which you can then unzip, and that will have all the .ipynb files that you can then access using your Anaconda navigator, as we showed in the running Python code lecture. All right, that's just a very quick overview of how to get the notes. If you ever have any questions on this, feel free to post the Q&A forums, but definitely check out the FAQ lecture where we have more detailed instructions on how to do all this. Okay, thanks everyone. We'll see you at the next lecture. Hello everyone, and welcome to the Git and GitHub overview lecture. So in this lecture, we'll just get a quick overview on Git and GitHub in general. So what is Git, G-I-T? Git is a free and open source distributed version control system, and it can handle everything from just a small project to a really large one pretty well. So you can go ahead and go to git-scm.com to learn more about Git, and you can try it in your browser for free by clicking this try Git link on the Git page here, and it'll take you to this link at try.github.io, and it'll teach you Git pretty quickly in your browser. So it's actually a really useful tool. So what kind of companies are using Git, this version control system? Pretty much all major companies, such as Google, Facebook, Microsoft, Twitter, LinkedIn, etc. There's a whole list of companies. Many companies use Git. And you might be wondering, what's the difference between Git and GitHub? So GitHub is a web page where you can publish your Git repositories and collaborate with other people. So as I mentioned before, Git's a version control system. So it basically has a series of snapshots of your code, which are known as commits. And as you see the path of the snapshots, you can check what order they're created in. So can you use Git without GitHub is another question people ask. And yes, so Git runs locally if you don't use GitHub. An alternative to GitHub might be using Git with your files and then hosting them on Dropbox. But GitHub is the de facto and most popular streamlined service that's designed especially for Git. So I encourage you to make your own GitHub account and check it out. I have my own GitHub account, and that's where I commit the repositories for the notebooks, and that's how you're able to view them. It's because I'm pushing them to GitHub. If you're interested in working how GitHub works, you can go to guides.github.com/activities/hello world. Again, this link is in the lecture text. And you can check out their Hello World document. It's all in browser, so again, you don't need to download anything. You can just check it out all there. And then another great website for learning Git in general, just GIT Git, is gitimmersion.com. And it works for both Mac and Windows. Okay, so that's just a brief overview on Git and version control in general, the links and resources you need to learn more about them. Don't worry if you don't want to check that out right now. Later on in the lecture, we'll touch again on this topic when we talk about modules and importing and creating your own libraries. All right, that's it for this lecture. Up next, we'll finally get started with Python object and data structure basics. Thanks, and I'll see you at the next lecture.